Whew, I'm pretty burned out. Let's have a coffee and figure out what that means and how to fix it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lewis with your virtual coffee chat. Today I'm having my favorite kind of coffee, an espresso. And yeah, that wasn't a joke. I am pretty burned out. And you might not understand it because I have usually a cheerful disposition. That doesn't mean that a person isn't burned out. In fact, I have a cheerful disposition because that's how I am. But let me tell you how I know that I'm feeling burnout. It's because when I sit at my laptop to do some work, let's say to write an email campaign, I sit and I open the word processor and I sit and stare at that blinking cursor for like 5 minutes before I even realized what I'm supposed to be doing. It's you're burning out. It's a bit like being in a dream. Actually, it's like you get up, you do your workout to be healthy, you have your night, you have a breakfast, and then things, even though you're supposed at your peak energy, it actually feels like you're in one of those dreams where everything moves slower. It's like the brain is working, is functioning at half speed. It's constantly there's a list playing in your brain, right, with all the stuff that you need to do. Basically your to-do list is on play in your brain in constant repeat, and you keep thinking, oh yeah, I should get to that, I should get to that, I should get to that, I should get to that. But because there's all this noise that for some reason you can't stop in your brain, you actually never can muster the energy to go and do whatever you're supposed to be doing. When we can do, you feel like you're grinding through it. You feel like something that should be easy, that should feel easy, that would have felt easy uh, weeks ago or months ago, suddenly turns into a slog. This even extends to having conversations with people. I mean, I usually meet with everyone in my team at least once a week, and we have a one-on-one, a conversation about their work and sometimes about more personal stuff. And I actually, to be honest, I failed to do that over the past couple of weeks, almost over the entirely of the last month. And the reality is that I can keep excusing it, oh, that I'm busy, that I'm busy, that I'm busy. But the reality is not that I'm that much busier. I'm somewhat busier because we launched a new website, but still, it shouldn't be something that doesn't allow for that. But the reality is that I find myself sitting on meetings, brainstorming meetings, etc., stuff like that. And people just pass to me. I'm like, oh, wow, what did that person say? So it's not like when someone in your team or yourself is feeling burnout, is suffering from burnout, it's not like they need to be all glum and look tired and exasperated. Some people that happens, right? I mean, I tend to be a pretty chill dude, and I'm feeling that I'm getting slightly irritated, even at some things that would usually even not register with me. So that's definitely a part of that. But the reality is that, and is that for many people, burnout is not visible externally. So don't rely even on other people in your team to call it out. Maybe if you reach the stage where it's clearly visible externally, then that is a very, very, very tough situation. But the things will look, if you get in the habit of analyzing the way you work, the internal workings of your mind, you will be able to detect it much further. So why did this happen? You know, this is a program about remote work, and actually that is the main reason. It's not culture. I have the fortune of working with the team. That's wonderful, and I have the fortune of having bosses that mostly are off my back about any given thing, right? That I don't have these days, especially. I don't have any huge demands on my time from other parties. I do have stuff that I need to do with the people, with my leadership colleagues, with my bosses, with my teammates, with the people working under me. Like, of course, there are responsibilities there, but I don't really work in a culture where people are pushing me and poking me all the time, right? For the most part, the culture at the places where I work actually allows me to pursue work at my own rhythm. But the fact that I work in this place, right, means that from the moment I get out of my bedroom, I'm plugged into work. That's the reality, right? I don't have a huge, I don't have a huge house. I do try to create a separate space for work, but it tends to bleed out, right? It's in the same building. It's in the same general space, right? The place where I don't watch a movie with my wife in the same place where I work, but it's like very close by, right? It's 3 steps away. So it's really hard to unplug, and I end up, even though I do my best to create a morning space, a space in the mornings where I can start to work in a more relaxed manner. And again, doing some work, doing a little workout, very important, getting a nice breakfast, very important. The reality is that I often end up working later, right? Or I often work with very little breaks. And that's just a matter of self-discipline. I think that's something that's important to get to. As much as it's good for the businesses, promoting remote work, the businesses where you work remotely, as much as it's good and important for those businesses to create the conditions where you can, get yourself away from work when you need to, which the businesses where I work have. It's also on you, right? This is an act of self-discipline mainly. Your boss, especially when you're working remotely, if you're working in a building, your boss can lock you out of the building if he's a good boss. I would define a good boss as that. Someone who, when sees you're overworking, actually locks you out of the building. But in remote work, it's a lot harder to do that. What is my boss going to do? Kick me from Slack every day? Right? Just imagine the logistics of doing that. So closing my Gmail account, my work Gmail account. Yeah, good luck with that. So at the reality, this is your discipline. So what am I going to do about it? Well, I'm going to take a nice vacation. Not too long, but long enough. I'm taking 2 weeks, but worry not. If you enjoy having coffee with me in the mornings, I am going to grab 3 to 5 cups of decaf because I don't want to be hyper for the next 2 weeks. And I'm planning a series where I talk about one of my favorite remote work books every day. It's going to be Remote Book Week. So I hope that you'll join me every day. Future Lewis, I hope you'll join Future Lewis every day talking about one of his favorite remote work related books, while past Lewis or present Lewis is on holiday. So you have that to look forward to. Thank you so much for listening to the virtual coffee chat with Lewis for Think Remote. Until the end of the month, Think Remote is giving some goodies away for the people who subscribe to their newsletter. So check out thinkremote.com. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. See you tomorrow.